am a poor student, while my roommate is a wealthy young lady. However, right after starting school, she insisted on making friends with Missy, took me to enjoy various forms of entertainment, and even introduced me to her childhood friend, Wei Qinghe. Nevertheless, once I actually got together with Wei Qinghe, the young lady became displeased. She deliberately knocked over my instant noodles, claiming that she got scalded and demanding compensation from me. After I gave her all my money, she spread rumors that I had sticky fingers and stole her LV wallet. The school punished me, my classmates distanced themselves from me, and even Wei Qinghe proposed to break up with me. He said I was an ugly duckling who, after a couple of good days, fancied becoming a swan. I was left with no way to defend myself, being ostracized and cyber-bullied until I dropped out of school. In a state of mental breakdown, I drowned myself by falling into the water. But when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the time when she introduced me to Wei Qinghe. Wei Qinghe, this is my best friend at school. Xiaoyu, what do you think? Isn't she pretty? The deafening music around and Su Jing's teasing remarks brought me back to my senses. I realized this was the time when I first met Wei Qinghe. He has always looked down on me, and it's still the same now. He didn't even glance at me, and was drinking on his own. Su Jing put one hand on my shoulder and asked me with a smile, Xiaoyu, what do you think of our Qinghe? Qinghe's family is in the real estate business. They are the wealthiest in Qinghai. I lowered my head, smiled shyly, and pretended to be embarrassed. He seems nice. I'll go to the restroom first. I made an excuse to leave. Su Jing clearly likes Wei Qinghe, but insists on pushing him towards me. And Wei Qinghe is also a scoundrel with me despite not liking. May feel like I'm just a part of their game. I lifted my head from the cold water and took off my thick black framed glasses this time. I will never be their plaything again. Who says an ugly duckling can't turn into a swan? I carried my bag and left without saying a word to anyone. Sure enough, I met Wei Qinghe at the door. He was sitting alone on a chair in a hidden place outside the door, with his head lowered, as if looking at something. In my previous life, in order to understand him, I learned a lot about his past from Su Jing. Today is his birthday, and also the anniversary of his mother's death. In my previous life, everyone Qihong me to toast Wei Qinghe, but he laughed at me for not being able to tell the difference between brandy and whiskey, and then left me standing there. I lowered my head and took out a box of strawberry milk from my bag. Originally, I planned to have it for breakfast, but now it seems it can only be used as a prop. Here you are drinking all the time is bad for your stomach, I said. Wei Qinghe gave me a cold glance. It's not your place to pity me. I wasn't angry. I just put down the milk and said, if you hurt your stomach, your mother will be heartbroken. After that, I got up and left, ignoring the inquisitive gaze from behind. Rich second-generation people like him and Su Jing simply don't take me seriously in this life. Not only will I make him care about me, but I will also make him and Su Jing turn against each other. When Su Jing came back, she indeed complained that I left without a word. I fawned on her and coaxed her as usual when she didn't want to go to class. I helped her sign in when she was too lazy to buy food. I brought it to her when she thought the school washing machine was dirty. I washed her clothes one by hand. My dormitory roommates secretly called me a sycophant, saying that fawning was useless, and she wouldn't give me a cent. He ignored them, and continued to be Su Jing's obedient follower. Every day, besides doing chores for her, I had to listen to her bragging. She said the food in the cafeteria was like pig slop, and it would be better if her father opened a food processing factory here directly. Occasionally, Wei Qinghe would come to see her, buying her flowers, gifts, food, and all kinds of trinkets. Sometimes there would even be something for me. And because of my fawning over Su Jing, I would also deliver food to him when I delivered food to Su Jing. Su Jing said proudly, Wei Qinghe is great, isn't he? There are so many girls who like him. Do you like him? I quickly shook my head and said shyly, how could I be worthy of liking him? I think Wei Qinghe actually only likes you. I hit the nail on the head for Su Jing, and she smiled with satisfaction. Su Jing of course knew that Wei Qinghe liked her, but she didn't want to be tied down so soon. Soon after, at the sports meet, she was in charge of carrying the sign, but accidentally stepped on her skirt and sprained her ankle. A sports student carried her to the infirmary. And on that day, Wei Qinghe would confess to me out of jealousy. On the day of the sports meet, however, I sprained my ankle before her. I endured the pain and limped to deliver her makeup bag. Su Jing didn't show the slightest concern for me. Instead, she complained that I was late. You're so slow at delivering something. Just bear with the sprained ankle. What if we miss the square formation? I lowered my head and apologized, looking like a complete doormat. At this time, the muscular sports student said again, classmate, are you okay? Let me take you to the infirmary. My face flushed, and I waved my hands, saying it wasn't necessary, but almost stumbled. The other person still picked me up in a bridal style carry, and was about to take me there. Suddenly, a cold and piercing gaze shot over. I looked up, and found it was Wei Qinghe. Su Jing exclaimed in surprise beside him. Wei Qinghe, do I look pretty today? Wei Qinghe didn't answer. He just looked at me and said, get down. I'll take you. Su Jing's face immediately fell. Wei Qinghe, it'll be my turn for the square formation soon. Where are you going? I quickly tried to mediate. No need for you to take me. This classmate can take me. Don't delay Jingjing's business. At the infirmary, the school doctor said the injury was a bit severe, and told me to walk as little as possible in the near future. I thanked the sports student, and only then did I learn his name was Lu Yang. Lu Yang was about to leave. He had reached the door but then came back. Add me on WeChat. If you need any help in the future, just contact me. I looked at his bright red ear tips, not understanding. Not long after I arrived at the infirmary, news came that Su Jing had fallen. Wei Qinghe personally brought her here. She was wearing a long gauze dress, looking like a princess, and Wei Qinghe was the handsome knight guarding her. Lu Yang came back with an ice pack. When he saw there were two people, he was a bit stunned for a moment. Su Jing screamed in pain. The school doctor said it needed to be cold compressed first. She unceremoniously pointed at Lu Yang, asking him to give her the ice pack first. I, as always, timidly said, give it to Jingjing first. I'll go get another one later. Although Lu Yang was a bit annoyed, he still gave it to her. Then I'll take you back to the dormitory first. I'll buy one for you later. Lin Xiaoyu, don't you have hands of your own? Do you need others to run around for you? Wei Qinghe still had a cold face, and his words were full of rudeness. But he actually took the ice pack directly and personally applied it to my swollen ankle. Su Jing's eyes widened in disbelief. Wei Qinghe, I haven't used it yet. How could you give it to her? Wei Qinghe ignored her and instead looked up at me. Lin Xiaoyu, you like me, don't you? Let's be together. I covered the coldness in my eyes with surprise. Wei Qinghe wouldn't fall for me so easily. He was probably still trying to make Su Jing jealous. And I didn't agree directly. I stammered nervously. When did I say I like you? I fled in a hurry. Back in the dormitory, Su Jing's attitude towards me took a 180-degree turn. She said sarcastically, I didn't know you really managed to hook up with Wei Qinghe. You're really something. If you're with him, you'll really rise in the world. I lowered my head and said no. Su Jing became even more aggressive. What are you pretending for? You can't not like Wei Qinghe. I've seen so many women like you. All of you are constantly trying to climb up every day, without knowing if you're worthy. Even if Wei Qinghe likes you, his family won't agree. But this is far from enough. What I want is not just his liking. Wei Qinghe actually started to show the gesture of pursuing me. He would come to pick me up for class in the morning, have lunch with me at noon, and invite me for a walk in the evening. And because of my foot injury, I no longer ran errands for Su Jing. No one in the dormitory paid attention to either of us, so she simply moved out and lived off campus. Gradually, in the eyes of others, it seemed that I really liked Wei Qinghe. I would blush when I saw him, give him small handmade gifts, and even remember to share delicious food with him when I went out for part-time jobs. I would say good morning and good night to him, and share my daily life with him, whether he replied or not. I got rid of my heavy glasses, grew my hair long, and although my clothes and makeup were simple, I could be considered a little beauty when I looked in the mirror. Gradually, I could feel that Wei Qinghe's gaze on me was different. He would deliberately get close to make me blush, and kiss me under the umbrella on rainy days. We were like a real couple, until the day Su Jing got drunk. She rushed into the dormitory, and knocked over the instant noodles I was eating. I dodged quickly, but she scalded her wrist. Even though she shook it off immediately, a red mark was left. She glared at me, gritting her teeth. Lin Xiaoyu, I treated you like a friend, but you seduced Wei Qinghe. Aren't you shameless? I still looked innocent. What do you mean by seducing? Were you together before? Su Jing suddenly shut up. She pointed at me with one finger and threatened. You wait. Do you really think Wei Qinghe will really fall for you? He's just playing with you. I'm just playing with him too. And I've already got what I want. Breaking up isn't a big deal. Wei Qinghe indeed came to teach me a lesson for her. Just like in my previous life, he dragged me into a private room, where all his friends in the circle were. Wei Qinghe asked me to apologize. Be sensible. Su Jing has never been hurt since she was a child. She got scalded because of you. Su Jing hugged her arms proudly and snorted. Ask her to apologize? I don't dare. She's your girlfriend, Wei Qinghe. Wei Qinghe was a bit helpless and joked about her. Are you still jealous about this? Weren't you the one who introduced her to me in the first place? Su Jing pointed to a row of white spirits in front of her and said, Well, if you sincerely want to apologize, finish this row of drinks and I'll forgive you. Wei Qinghe didn't express his opinion either. He personally picked up a glass of wine and handed it to me. A whole row is too much. Just one glass. I took the wine glass, but then with a twist of my wrist, I directly poured the wine on the ground. I won't drink a single drop. In my previous life, no matter how I explained, all I got was ridicule. They didn't care about the truth at all. They just wanted to see me make a fool of myself. I was the ugly duckling, the toad. In short, I wasn't from the same class as them. I was forced to drink a row of wine, and couldn't help vomiting on the spot. Su Jing covered her nose, and Wei Qinghe disgustedly had someone throw me out. This time, after pouring the wine, I threw the wine glass onto the table. There was a jingle. I only explained once. You got scalded because you deliberately knocked over my instant noodles. You deserved it. Su Jing jumped up in anger and pointed at me, scolding. Who are you saying deserves it? Weren't you very timid? Finally, you're not pretending anymore. I've long seen that you're a scheming girl. I tell you, if you don't finish this row of drinks and apologize today, I'll make you drop out of school tomorrow. Wei Qinghe frowned and looked at me disapprovingly. Xiaoyu, have you forgotten what I said? It's just an apology. Is it that troublesome? I raised a slightly sarcastic smile. I didn't do anything wrong. I just won't apologize. Wei Qinghe didn't expect me to be so stubborn today. He couldn't help grabbing my wrist and staring at me. What if I insist that you apologize to her? I gritted my teeth and shook him off. Then we break up. Wei Qinghe's face immediately darkened. Su Jing quickly said, Lin Xiaoyu, do you really think you're so beautiful? Qinghe is just playing with you. If there's a breakup, it should be him dumping you. Wei Qinghe, however, stepped towards me step by step. Want to break up with me? You don't have that right yet. Whether I have the right or not isn't up to you to decide. I turned around and left without the slightest hesitation. The people in the private room tried to liven up the atmosphere and smooth things over. Oh, she's just a rural girl. Just have some fun with her. Qinghe, don't take it to heart. She just has a bit of a temper. Don't worry, she'll definitely come to you within 3 days. Su Jing was in a much better mood and offered a drink to Wei Qinghe. You're not really angry, are you? Lin Xiaoyu just doesn't know her place. Wei Qinghe, however, directly smashed the wine glass. The loud noise immediately silenced the private room. After a moment he slowly said, It's okay. Keep drinking. But that night, he looked at his phone many times and didn't wait for my good night message. Su Jing wasn't just talking. She really intended to make me drop out of school. What was supposed to come finally arrived. I took a day off and deliberately hid behind the bed curtain. I saw Su Jing, who should have gone to class, sneakily come to the dormitory. She was holding that brand new LV small wallet in her hand. I quickly took out my phone and filmed the video of her putting the wallet into my cabinet. At noon, Su Jing came with people and directly blocked me in the classroom. She stared at me confidently and asked, Lin Xiaoyu, my wallet is missing. You're the one who's always closest to me. Did you take it? The classroom was surrounded tightly, and even the door was crowded with people. I explained calmly, Do you have any evidence? Su Jing sneered, Evidence? Of course I do. Your family is the poorest. You can't resist good things. If you had asked nicely, I might have given it to you. But you had to steal. Isn't that having sticky fingers? People around were whispering, and many classmates took out their phones to film. Theft is a scandal anywhere, let alone in a university. Come on. It's just a bag. I'll compensate you. Wei Qinghe's voice came from outside the door, and the crowd made way for him. It seemed like he was here to support me, but I clearly didn't do anything. Why should I be slandered by them? I insisted. Su Jing, do you have any evidence? Wei Qinghe frowned and stared at me. Lin Xiaoyu, don't make a big deal out of it. Otherwise I can't help you either. Su Jing was immediately furious. Wei Qinghe, do you have to side with her? What's so special about a poor student like her that makes you like her? Without me, she would never have met you in her life. Was he really siding with me? Clearly, he also didn't believe me. Even if it was for his own face, he would stand up. Su Jing, regardless of everything, directly presented the evidence. I tell you, I've already found the wallet in her cabinet. The people around her also testified one after another. We really saw the wallet in her cabinet with our own eyes. Lin Xiaoyu, what else do you have to explain? People with sticky fingers like you don't deserve to stay in our school. You should be expelled. Strange looks shot towards me like nails. Su Jing raised her head proudly and walked up to me whispering, Competing with me? You're not worthy. But I laughed. I directly connected my phone to the classroom's large screen, then let everyone see how the wallet got into my cabinet. On the screen, it clearly showed that it was Su Jing herself who put the wallet in. Her face immediately turned pale, and then she glared at me and screamed, Lin Xiaoyu, you knew it all along. You dare to play me, you bitch? Su Jing screamed and rushed over to slap me. The classmates around were in chaos. Some were trying to stop the fight, and some were discussing. There were all kinds of remarks. Su Jing's family is so rich. What kind of ability is it to slander others and ask for an apology? Fortunately, I didn't scold. That girl is a poor student. Her methods are really despicable. Su Jing was blocked. A pair of strong hands pulled me out of the crowd. Lu Yang smiled brightly. Am I not too late? I ran over as soon as I saw the live broadcast. Are you hurt? I shook my head and asked, What live broadcast? When Su Jing came to accuse me of stealing her wallet, She had actually started a live broadcast online. However, she didn't expect that I was well prepared in advance, and was instead outmaneuvered. But this wasn't the end. I was waiting for the heat to build up to a climax before releasing the blockbuster news. To my surprise, Wei Qinghe didn't care about Su Jing at all, and had been looking for me. When he saw me with Lu Yang, his face looked extremely ugly. Lin Xiaoyu, did I say we broke up? What are you doing with another man? Come here. I shook my head. I'm not your puppy that comes when you call. Besides, I already told you we're breaking up. But I didn't agree. Wei Qinghe softened his voice rarely. Come here, okay? I was wrong about Su Jing's matter. I shouldn't have not believed you. It's not that you don't believe me. You just trust Su Jing more. In your eyes, do I steal things just because I'm poor? He opened his mouth, but didn't say anything. I knew I was right, but my heart was very calm. In my previous life, I really liked him, and cried like a fool when I was called an ugly duckling. I turned around and left. Lu Yang followed me closely. Did you really break up? I knew he wasn't a good guy from the start. By the way, are you free tonight? I'll treat you to dinner. He smiled foolishly, like a big golden retriever. But I didn't answer. I wasn't in a position to fall in love yet. When I came back from evening self-study, Wei Qinghe was actually waiting for me downstairs of the dormitory. He was holding a bunch of white lilies, looking like a dashing young man. I once casually said that I like lilies, and I Shengdao he still remembered. But I didn't feel a bit of emotion in my heart. I pretended not to see him, and walked towards the building. Wei Qinghe blocked my way. Can we talk? You like lilies, right? Here you are. I didn't take them. Are you here to plead for Su Jing? But I won't delete that video. And it has spread widely now. I can't delete it alone. Not to mention that Su Jing had a live broadcast at that time. It already exists on the internet. It spreads from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100, and it's hard to disappear. Wei Qinghe said indifferently. Her matter has nothing to do with me. I'm just here to see you. He pursed his lips and said softly. After separating from you, I realized that I really like you. I feel uncomfortable when you don't talk to me. So, what does it have to do with me? I don't like you. I said coldly, then dodged him and returned to the dormitory, not seeing his face turning paler little by little. That he could like me was completely, because I played my part well. After the experiences of the previous life, I figured out a persona he liked. A poor and cute girl, who made people full of the urge to protect her. But this wasn't the real me. I was admitted to school from a backward and poor small village. What I wanted was to change my destiny, and my family's destiny, through my own efforts. In my previous life, the biggest mistake I made was getting involved in the games of these rich people. This time, I would definitely make up for the regrets. Although Su Jing wasn't at school, she kept harassing me on the phone. Do you think these little tricks can bring me down? Stop kidding. Even if I drop out of school, I can still study abroad. You can't hurt me at all. A poor person like you can't even imagine the happiness of being rich. I tell you, even if you work for a lifetime, you can't live the life I live. Also, do you think Wei Qinghe really likes you? He's already engaged to me. He's just playing with you. You're the other woman. And I released a chat record. It was between Su Jing and her friend. Su Jing's family owned a food factory, and the brand was quite famous. But she was chatting with her friend, saying not to eat their family snacks because the preservatives exceeded the standard. Naturally, I secretly took her phone and took pictures of these chat records. If it wasn't to find evidence, why would I work like a beast by her side? The heat kept rising. Su Jing and her family's enterprise became completely famous. Even if the enterprise issued a food quality certificate overnight, it was useless. They themselves didn't eat it, yet they wanted consumers to eat it? Dream on. Moreover, after the heat rose, after sampling and discussion by various journalists and experts, the result was that the additives really exceeded the standard, and eating too much was likely to cause cancer. Netizens were in an uproar. Damn, I often eat their family's potato chips. Am I going to get cancer? How does such a harmful enterprise still exist? The young lady of their family bullies others at school. It really lives up to the saying that like father, like son. Netizens spontaneously boycotted. They wouldn't eat any food produced by their family. Some large and small supermarkets also took their products off the shelves one after another. Su Jing almost went crazy. Her family blamed her for ruining the company, and Wei Qinghe didn't pay attention to her at all. She had no choice but to come to me to vent her anger. Lin Xiaoyu, how could you ruin my life? I was blocked in a dead-end alley by Su Jing, and her people on my way back from part-time work. Her face was distorted with anger. She was holding a baseball bat, and approaching step by step. Lin Xiaoyu, you're a fucking bitch. I treated you like a friend, but you stabbed me in the back. A friend? When did you ever treat me as a friend? When you came to the dormitory, you looked down on everyone. No one paid attention to you except me. You befriended me, but you only treated me as a tool, right? I stepped back step by step until I had nowhere to retreat. Even though you and Wei Qinghe were already engaged, you still introduced him to me. You treated me as a plaything, but I, the plaything, played you instead. Shut up, Su Jing screamed. I tell you, I'm going abroad anyway. I'm going to teach you a lesson today. Beat her. When the stick was about to fall, I suddenly pounced on Su Jing and pressed her down. She screamed and hit me with the stick. I bit her ear tightly. The big hand sticks were waving and hitting me, but I gritted my teeth and didn't let go. I didn't have that much strength and could only deal with one person. My head was dizzy, and my whole body seemed to be falling apart. Until the sound of police sirens rang out, I fainted with relief. When I opened my eyes again, the first person I saw was Lu Yang. He was so sleepy that he was sitting by the bed, his head nodding. When he saw that I woke up, he immediately became energetic with joy. He held my hand and said, "Are you thirsty? I'll pour you some water. Don't worry. Su Jing and the other thugs have all been arrested. Don't move around. The doctor said your problem isn't too serious, but your arm is fractured and you need to rest for a while." Actually, I was disappointed. It was just a fractured arm. Su Jing and the others couldn't be locked up for a few months. But fortunately, the news that I was beaten quickly spread. It was rumored on the internet that the Su group attacked the whistle blower out of guilt. The reputation of their family's products completely collapsed. I didn't want to recuperate in the hospital originally. After all, the medical expenses were not cheap. But the person I least wanted to see appeared again. Wei Qinghe came to see me with fruits. He sat by my bed and peeled an apple with a small knife. Don't worry. I won't let Su Jing out so easily. As for the medical expenses, you don't need to worry about them either. I frowned and looked at him. What do you mean by doing this? Don't you like Su Jing anymore? Wei Qinghe's hand stopped. He raised his eyes, and his deep-set eyes looked at me. I just realized what liking is now. I don't like her. So Xiaoyu, don't leave me. I just felt a chill rising from my back. Only then did I notice that the knife in his hand was gently placed on my finger. I couldn't help but shrink back, but my shoulder was held by him. His forehead pressed against mine, and our breaths intertwined. Promise me you won't leave me. But I calmly pushed him away. Wei Qinghe, when you were with me, were you already engaged to Su Jing? Wei Qinghe's eyes suddenly became flustered, and he got closer and closer, even surrounding me completely in his arms. Listen to me. That was a very, very long time ago. I didn't take it seriously. But you really liked her. When you were with me, you also liked her, right? My eyes were clear. I tried my best to push his chest with my intact arm, keeping a distance from him. That's not the case. His eyes were slightly red, and he held the fruit knife even tighter. Xiaoyu, I only love you. He approached my neck with the knife, but closed his eyes and kissed me. I felt my hair stand on end. I thought he was really crazy. Fortunately, Lu Yang came back in time. He punched Wei Qinghe and blocked me. Wei Qinghe, you're a psycho. I tell you, Xiaoyu will never like you again. Wei Qinghe stood up and wiped the blood from the broken corner of his mouth. He looked at me with deep eyes and suddenly smiled. Xiaoyu, you will like me. No, I won't. I not only won't like him anymore, but I also plan to push him into the mud. His family had developed a real estate project before, but it hadn't started construction for half a year. He once casually told me that even if there was money, he wouldn't continue building it. So that real estate project, full of the expectations of the property owners, became an unfinished building. And the money for buying the houses went into their family's pocket, used to invest in other industries, or for their own consumption. I once checked. Just one shirt of Wei Qinghe cost tens of thousands of yuan, and a wristwatch was as high as 1 million yuan. Such a person wouldn't have empathy for the general public. It was the same for me. He just regarded me as his possession. I sent the recording anonymously to several well-known journalists. The Wei Group was also on the hot search. The property owners who had paid for the houses were in a panic and demanded an explanation from the group. The stock of the Wei Group dropped terribly in one day, forcing Wei Qinghe's grandfather to come out and say that the house would definitely be built well. Although my voice was processed, Wei Qinghe couldn't not know it was me. Even though I was as careful as possible, I was still caught by him. When I woke up again, I was in a pitch-black room. Wei Qinghe lit a candle, and his pale face showed a kind of ghostliness in the candlelight. I thought he came to take revenge on me, and was already prepared to sacrifice myself. But Wei Qinghe just put down the candle, and came to my side, reaching out to touch my face. Did you send the recording? I turned my head away and said, resigning myself to fate, yes. So, what are you going to do? His voice suddenly became Di-Chen. So those things before weren't really liking me either? I nodded, of course. How could I really like someone like you? Then who do you like? Someone like Lu Yang. What's wrong with Lu Yang? Do I have to report to you who I like? And Lu Yang is better than you anyway. As soon as I finished speaking, I was bitten by him. I was both shocked and scared. I didn't know if he was really crazy. Wei Qinghe seemed to have completely changed. He kissed and bit me like a wolf cub. He repeated over and over again. But I like you, and you should like me too. I couldn't help but try to dodge, yet he held me even tighter. Lu Yang isn't as good as me. I'll take you abroad and lock you up. Then you'll completely belong to me. I calmed down and tried to reason with him. Wei Qinghe, this is illegal detention. If you let me go, I'll act as if this never happened. But he chuckled softly, stroking my hair and saying, do you think I'm stupid? If I let you go, you'll call the police and have me arrested the first moment. I had to change my approach. Wei Qinghe, when exactly did you start liking me? He suddenly fell silent for a moment. When you gave me that box of strawberry milk outside. Later I learned that it was something you were reluctant to drink. Xiaoyu, you were willing to give me something you cherished. You must have liked me at some point, right? His voice seemed to carry a hint of pleading. I opened my mouth, eager to shatter his illusions. But considering my current situation, and fearing he might do something extreme, I closed my mouth. However, my silence seemed to give Wei Qinghe a glimmer of hope. He hugged me affectionately, resting his head on my shoulder. I knew you had me in your heart. Don't worry, I'll be good to you for a lifetime. But that was not what I wanted. I had managed to leave the village with great difficulty, not to be with someone like him. The police soon arrived. It was my roommates. They noticed that I hadn't come back for several nights, and contacted the counselor to report it to the police. I was successfully rescued, and Wei Qinghe was taken away and locked up. When I returned to the dormitory, I used the money from my part-time job to buy some snacks and fruits, and brought them back. After Su Jing left, there were only 3 of us in the dormitory. The other 2 roommates also got to know me better because of this incident. They explained that they hadn't deliberately spoken ill of me behind my back before. It was just that I seemed so lacking in dignity and contemptible at that time. But now they all expressed their understanding. One roommate patted me on the shoulder heavily. I just realized now that you weren't weak. You were biding your time. Yeah, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have known that the snacks produced by Su Jing's family had problems. She was so arrogant every day, making ill-gotten gains. Now she's got herself in trouble. I pursed my lips and smiled without replying. This was the best outcome for me. I heard from others that Su Jing was sentenced to 5 years. Her family went bankrupt. Some were in prison and some fled. Basically, no one could take care of her. She had a chance to meet her family once a month, but she specifically asked to see me. The detention center contacted me several times before I found the time to go. Su Jing had completely lost her former arrogant look. She was wearing prison clothes, had short hair, and was barefaced. She even had half of her ear missing, as if I had bitten it. When she saw me, she cried, Lin Xiaoyu, do you know you've ruined me? I was a proper rich second generation. It's all because of you that I ended up like this. I was very puzzled and asked in return, did I ask your family to add more preservatives to their products? Or did I ask you to beat me? Su Jing's voice became hoarse from crying. It's not just our family that added preservatives. If it weren't for you, there wouldn't have been so many people investigating. Lin Xiaoyu, you're my nemesis. You've ruined my whole family. You also snatched Wei Qinghe away. You must be very proud now, right? When Wei Qinghe was mentioned, I actually hadn't inquired about his news. But facing Su Jing, I said, I'm not with him. He should be in prison, just like you doing hard labor. Su Jing was stunned, completely unexpected. This is impossible. The Wei family is the richest. How could he be in prison too? Nothing is impossible. Maybe I don't understand what your circle is like, but I know that people without value are discarded. Wei Qinghe is a discarded piece. But he wasn't actually doing hard labor in prison. He was in a mental hospital. The doctor said he had severe schizophrenia. I didn't know if it was true or not. Until that day when I met him again. The school arranged for volunteers to do volunteer work in hospitals and nursing homes. When I was cleaning a room in the mental hospital, I met him. Wei Qinghe was wearing a blue and white striped hospital gown, sitting quietly on a recliner and reading a book. Suddenly he looked up and saw me. Wei Qinghe actually smiled. Xiaoyu, you really came to see me. I was a bit surprised. I didn't expect him to recognize me so clearly. Wei Qinghe had completely lost his former coldness or madness. He was as gentle as a big boy. How have you been recently? Very well. The people here are very interesting. But I miss you. I really like you. I want to drink strawberry milk. Would you give me your strawberry milk? Before I could reply, 2 older nurses came over to take him back. Don't be afraid, little girl. He calls everyone Xiaoyu. He often says he's the grandson of the richest family. Alas, just listen to it. Don't take it seriously. When he was being taken away, he suddenly lost his temper and shouted, my grandfather really is the richest. The person I like is Lin Xiaoyu. I'm waiting for her to pick me up. I'm not crazy at all. See, what did I say? Would the grandson of the richest family be here with us? I watched him leave from a distance, and thought about the time when I drowned in my previous life. At that time, I was condemned by everyone. I couldn't hold my head up anywhere. The cafeteria aunt deliberately gave me less food. When I went to the library, my notes and books were thrown at my feet. My phone was turned off for a long time because as soon as I turned it on, countless curses would come in, and my phone number would beat our ball. They said I was a thief, an ugly duckling, and that I didn't deserve to live. My family was in a far-away village. They didn't know what had happened to me, and I didn't dare to tell them. I was probably on the verge of mental illness at that time. If I hadn't drowned in the river, I might have ended up in a mental hospital. But fortunately, heaven gave me a chance to live a new life. What are you thinking about? Xiaoyu, you're not thinking about Wei Qinghe again, are you? Lu Yang was wearing the same red volunteer vest as me, looking at me pitifully. He's a mental patient now. Don't think about him anymore. I'm not thinking about him. I'm just thinking, what if I become a mental patient too? But Lu Yang laughed. How could you become a mental patient? But even if you did, I would still like you. I couldn't help asking. So when did you start liking me? Lu Yang blushed. I thought he would say it was on the day of the sports meeting. But he whispered, a very, very long time ago. Do you remember the day when school just started? Everyone else was accompanied by their parents. But you were carrying 2 big snakeskin bags alone. Such a small body had so much strength. I immediately thought that girl was so special. I felt like I knew her. But you never gave me a chance until that sports meeting. I looked at him, and suddenly realized that there could be someone who liked the real me.